nursery contest. Hilarious. Okay, but I'll forget pay too much.
We are live on the internet. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
I'm ready when you are. Moonshine, Jesus, so surprising you like. Moonshine, Jesus. Hello and welcome to the Moonshine Jesus Show. You did it. You made it here. We're excited to have you. Our music is going to be a little like that. Normally, Randy Kreth, who wrote it, shows up and does it live, and it's the best, but he just wasn't able to make it this year, so we're not quite going to be able to.
We miss him. He's a lot of fun.
He's such a great
guy.
guy.
Yeah.
We have a good time. So this is the Moonshine Jesus Show. We are also a part of the Wild Goose Cast Network, a network of faith-based podcasts discussing issues of inclusion and social justice. To learn more about the Wild Goose Festival, go to wildgoosefestival.org. We are also brought to you by the Center for Progressive Christianity and are sponsored by the Progressive Christian Alliance, a diverse, inclusive community reclaiming faith through justice, compassion, and radical welcome, as well as the Christian left, where following Jesus means standing up for the poor, the oppressed, and the truth, no matter how unpopular it gets. So we are glad to have you all here, as well as a variety of beverages. The Moonshine Jesus Show is not the Moonshine Jesus Show without beverages. So we have a variety of beverages for you. Those who got here early enough to have the jugs, we're calling that the Red Cape. It is vodka, ginger ale, some wheat beer, and some grenadine. So I hope you enjoy it. My own little concoction to share with our friends there. Over here in the cooler, we've got beer and spiked lemonade and flavored waters and several things with koozies. You're welcome to help yourself to any and all of that. Caleb is my co-host. I'm Mark Sandlin. Caleb and I both are the co-executive directors of Progressive Christianity, the Center for Progressive Christianity. So check us all out there. How you doing today, Caleb? Are you excited about this?
I'm always excited, Mark, whenever we're able to be together in person. We do this every week online, but we don't get to be in person, more than twice a year. And so it's fun to be with you. But I love being at the Goose because we get to be with all of you.
And again, thank y'all for being here.
Yes.
We really appreciate it. We do need to warn you, we're going to be talking about the Superman movie. This is actually the first for our show. We're repeating a topic. We've talked about Superman before. We're going to delve into some new information about it and geek out a little bit differently about it. So just know we're doing that, but also know we are very proud to be a spoiler-full podcast. We will spoil this movie for you and do it gleefully. We will. So we know what our beverages are.
Yes.
We have set the scene. It sounds like it's time for a good time.
It is. So cheers to you all.
We'll have our quick little sad musical break here, and then we'll come back on the other side and geek out a little bit.
But you can sing it with us if you want.
Okay. Moonshine Jesus, light in the sky. Moonshine Jesus, burning on the rise. Moonshine Jesus, the bright in the light. Moonshine Jesus, won't you shine the light?
Well, welcome back to the Moonshine Jesus Show, and we are glad to be talking about Superman 2025 today. How many of you who are here have seen Superman 2025?
We got a handful of folks.
A few people.
Nice.
So, just in case you don't know, the new Superman movie is about Superman. Okay.
Spoiler alert.
I know. We did warn them.
We did warn them, but I didn't know we were going to go that hard.
I know. So Superman is about Superman, and it is the first film of the DC universe. So if you're not up on all this, remember for the past 10 years or so, there was the DC Extended Universe, and that was overseen by Zack Snyder. And it was pretty dark and violent, and the DC universe is the new iteration. It's overseen by James Gunn, who has brought us such delightful movies as Guardians of the Galaxy and all kinds of fun stuff. So this is the first film of the DCU, and of course it follows our favorite Kryptonian as he tries to save the world from Lex Luthor, which I imagine even those of you who haven't seen that are pretty familiar with that trope. Yes. But this is not just any Superman movie because it has been given that James Gunn treatment, his patented approach here, which means colorful characters and formerly obscure music becoming hits and a mix of action and emotional weight. So, Mark, you and I both saw this early on. We were excited to go see this, yes, and I know that we have both seen it since then. So, Mark, since your initial viewing of Superman, seeing it more times, what's your impression? Have you grown fonder of it, or have you grown tired of it? Is it enough? What do you think?
You know, I have to admit, I've grown fonder of it, man. I had to stop myself from watching it a fifth time.
Yeah.
I love this movie. So, by the way, we are geeking out a little bit here. We'll be moving on to theology and politics in just a little bit.
True.
But we like to let our geek flags fly just a touch.
Yes.
So yeah, I loved it. I think it gets better with each time you see it because you see some of what he's doing. There's a lot of mirroring going on in it that you catch a little more of each time. So I have absolutely loved it. How about you? Well, first of all, let's play the geek game. How many times have you seen it?
Okay, so I've actually only watched it twice, believe it or not. I know. I feel like a failure, but I loved it. And it's really just been a schedule thing, honestly. And because we watch different things every week. So I've had my show schedule pretty filled. Yeah. But I watched it actually for the second time yesterday on the plane with my 10-year-old. And she saw it for the first time, and I was telling her.
She's right over there. It's like,
yes, hey, kid. And so immediately after we finished watching it, we were driving away from the airport, and she said, "Dad, can we watch Superman again?" Which, as a parent, I feel very proud of that. So,
that's a proud parent.
I know.
That shows you're winning at parenting.
Yes, but despite the fact that I've only watched it twice, I have talked about it in church multiple times since it came out.
Probably in costume too.
In costume as well.
That's not a joke. Y'all think it's a joke. It's not a joke.
It is not a joke.
He always pulls it off.
Thank you. You saying I look super in that?
That's not what I was saying at all, but you can go with that.
That's the way I took it, you know? So I think it holds up great. I think it's a lot of fun, and I really have appreciated it. Hey, so those of you who maybe haven't seen this, there's a scene that is my favorite scene, and it is Superman and Lois. They're talking together about how he's going to address the crisis of the movie. And there's this conversation where Lois says that she's punk rock because she questions everything and everyone. And Superman responds that he trusts everyone he's ever met, to which Lois scoffs, "You are not punk rock." And then there's kind of an iconic statement, something that has become an iconic statement in the movie. Maybe that's the real punk rock. And so it's kind of been paraphrased. Kindness is a real punk rock. It's set to the tune of the Teddy Bears and Iggy Pop, punk rocker.
Yeah.
You know, I'm a punk rocker. Yes, I am. I'm curious, Mark, why has that moment, why has that sentiment kind of defined this movie?
Well, I am not going to go too far into this because that's part of the first question I'm going to ask in the politics section.
So
he loves stealing.
One of the things that I try to do is anticipate Mark's questions and try to steal them ahead of time. Yeah,
I'm going to give the short answer, which is going to help you answer my question later. The reason it's been so popular is because we need it right now. We need to understand kindness in that type of setting. And punk rock, kindness is sort of punk rock right now because it's so against what the larger society is trying to throw at us and the type of divisions and meanness that we get. So kindness is sort of the edgy punk rock right now, right?
Yes, I think that's right. But I think it also is something that is unique to pop culture. We're not seeing a lot of kindness portrayed in pop culture in this way.
Right.
And I think the way that James Gunn really took this movie and he made it the central theme of the movie, I think shows how tuned in he is to what film needs to be and how superheroes can kind of shed a lot of the toxic masculinity and all that we often see in superhero movies. And so for me, this moment of the film is just a moment that really grabbed a hold of me. And whenever I got to that moment when I was watching it again, I thought, yes, this is such an incredible, such a powerful moment. So if you're watching it, take note of that particular.
Absolutely.
So we've got 3 official entries into the DCU now.
Right.
We've got Creature Commandos. It's cartoon. It's on Max.
And it's about the monsters.
It's about the monsters.
And quote monsters.
Monsters.
Anything that proves that the monsters are the people.
Yes, great summary. I love it. Yes, and it's also a James Gunn thing. It's lots of fun. We talked about that on Moonshine Jesus Show. We've got Superman, which we're talking about today, and we've got Peacemaker Season 2.
Episode 1. Well, episode 2's on. I haven't seen it.
That's right. I haven't seen it yet either. But we talked about Episode 1 on Monday on the Moonshine Jesus Show. So we've now got 3 iterations of this, 3 examples. How do you think the DC is going with James Gunn taking the helm in these first 3 entries?
I think it's going incredibly well. He's not shying away from doing what science fiction and fantasy does best, which is to give us a vehicle to talk about realities, the difficult realities that are going on right now, in a way that's far enough removed that we feel safe talking about it. He seems to get that like in really hyper-focused way, and he's presenting that to us and allowing us to have these thoughts and to kind of make those considerations. I also think that as geeks, one of the things that I love is he is a bigger geek than we are.
That's hard to do. That's hard to accomplish.
A guy that just knows the comic books inside and out and is being so on point. There are moments in Superman that you literally can pull the panels out of the comic books and it is a one-to-one match. Like he honors the source material. He doesn't just honor the source material, but the creators of it as well. Like all the road signs in Metropolis, are not Metropolis, in Metropolis, are named after some of the original writers and artists from the early comic books. So their last names become the street names. He just did so many little to honor the past as he kind of reimagines moving forward. So I think he's doing brilliant, and the way that he makes people's stories and vulnerabilities more important than the big bad fight or how scary something is or how horrific it's going to be. I think it's just sort of brilliant, and right now it's something we need, and it's very relatable. I mean, what do you think?
I'm very happy too. I think it's fun. I think that's one of the things I want to see when I watch a movie is I want it to be fun. I want it to be engaging. I want it to be meaningful. I like that he does that. I like that he also brings on characters who have been sideline characters who kind of become the center of the story, right? And I think as like Christian theologians, that's something that's important. People who have been on the margins coming and becoming the center story. I love that, and so I love James Gunn's approach because he also is able to tell the story in a way that I think relates to modern society, and so I appreciate that. So you and I have talked about Superman before, as you mentioned, and after we finished the podcast, in typical fashion, you and I continued geeking out for like half an hour afterwards.
We've often joked that we need to like do a paid after party so you can hear us really geeking out.
That's for the real geeks, who tune in week after week. And so I asked you some questions after that I said, hey.
I don't know that I remember this.
I said, hey.
I had been drinking.
Well, that's the other thing. By the time we get to the end of the podcast, sometimes memories are not what they were at the beginning of the podcast. But look, I remember this. We talked for a while.
I hope you remember my answers and aren't going to ask me to remember my answers.
I do also remember your answers, of course. And so the first was there were a lot of characters in this movie, and that was one of the criticisms that James Gunn got, is that he brought in a lot of other characters, and you and I talked about that. And we said
even on the show a little bit.
Yes, and we said we liked all the characters. We thought they were good. But you alluded to the fact that there were a couple of characters that didn't work for you, and we didn't talk about that in the podcast. But we talked about it afterwards. Are you still holding on to that? What characters didn't work for you?
I'm sure I meant what I said when I said what I meant, but I don't know that I remember what I said when I meant what I said.
Well, do you have 2 characters that didn't work for you, and then I'll tell you if they were the same?
That didn't work for me. I didn't like the guy from Saturday Night Live.
Yes, so there was a reporter who worked at the Daily Planet who kind of was there for comic relief, and he would come out every once in a while and just kind of be obnoxious. Yeah, that was one of your answers the first time, and I agree.
Who was the second one? I imagine, and this is not a joke, what has happened at this point is that my subconscious has worked hard to forget that character, and so I can't recall who it might be.
You had said his mom, Clark's
mom, my God,
in Kansas, and so if you watch the movie,
you got to realize I grew up in a small southern
Now, as did I. I grew up in rural Missouri,
Yeah.
and this, of course, his
It's a
parents.
little thick, I'm afraid.
Yes, they kind of portrayed kind of a
Don't bump it.
caricature.
It was
Yes.
a caricature, yeah.
Yes,
I did not like that at
the
all.
mom.
And I had to try to forget that. Thanks for
The mom was trying to talk to him on the phone, sat the phone down, and was like, "Clark,
Clark, you there, boy?
yeah." So it was kind of a caricature, I think, of our people.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, I
I
did
think,
not like that.
and I think that was maybe not
That one was a little much. Dad was on point.
Yeah.
And I think that's part of what made her so extreme was that the father really felt real. Like he felt honest.
He was the heart of the movie. I think.
Yeah. He felt honest to who it was.
Yes.
So I setting her against that just felt too much. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And both of those characters, I think that's what threw me out was that they felt like they were there for the comedic part.
Yeah.
And they just amped it up about two clicks too far.
Yeah, I agree. And then the other question that I asked you was who is your favorite Superman? What's your Superman ranking with David Cornsweet?
Oh,
there.
And it was really it hurt.
Wait. Before you answer.
Yeah.
You all, who's your favorite Superman?
Who's your favorite?
Christopher Reeve.
Yeah, that's fair. Christopher Reeve.
Anyone have an answer other than Christopher Reeve? Okay, here. How about number 2? Oh, wait. You got a different one? Who do you think?
I kind of Christopher Reeve and Henry Cavill's 1A, 1B.
Okay.
Okay. And Henry Cavill. Okay.
I also really.
Daddy!
Perfect answer. Perfect answer. Yes.
Your check is in the.
That's the perfect answer. For those who are listening online and may not have heard that, Caleb's daughter's favorite superhero, Superman, is actually indeed Caleb.
Thank you.
Love it.
How about number 2? Someone yell out number 2. Anyone have a number 2 favorite?
Well, we had a few of them in there.
We heard Henry Cavill.
Henry
Yeah.
Cavill's
Anyone else?
I
Okay,
gotta say,
What's
it
your
hurt
rating?
me to say it.
Yeah.
I think Cornsweet's my new favorite, just by the tiniest.
Okay, so that's an answer that's changed.
Oh.
Because the first time you said Christopher Reeve by like a hair.
I think it's in the extra watchings, and in a lot of ways, and I'm not the only person who said this. Cornsweet sort of channels Christopher Reeves. He genuinely does, but he adds his own little pieces that almost humanizes Superman slightly more, which makes me identify and connect. It's a really tight race, but I think Cornsweet maybe is it at this point.
You know what? I'm gonna take a page out of your book, Mark, and I'm gonna say that maybe each of these iterations were the appropriate people for their time, and that maybe it's not any either or, but it's a lot of both ends.
That is
And,
a very fair.
Thank you. I learned that lesson from you.
I'm glad you're paying attention.
Well, I wouldn't go that.
I wouldn't either. Definitely not.
Okay, hey, I would love to geek out about this, but we're at Wild Goose. People want to talk about theology. They want to talk about politics. So why don't we take a break?
Yep.
We'll listen to our song one more time. You can sing it with us if you want, and then we'll come back and we'll talk about theology and politics.
Perfect. Shine, Jesus, light in the sky. Moonshine, Jesus, burning arise. Moonshine, Jesus, rising to light. Moonshine, Jesus, won't you shine?
Yeah.
Now, Randy, I know you're out there listening, the person who wrote our theme song. I apologize for stepping all over your song. We're doing our best, man. We're doing our best. But we hope you are with us next time. So, like I said, I wanted to start off with a question about that near Superman quote that's very popular now.
Yeah.
Kindness is the new punk rock.
Yeah.
Has kindness actually become a radical act in our culture when outrage, cruelty, and division seem to be the currency of politics? Does choosing kindness become countercultural resistance? And you know me, I have a follow-up
Of course you
question.
do.
And if so, what does it mean for faith communities and for citizens to treat kindness not as politeness or niceness, but as a disruptive political ethic?
Yeah, so it's absolutely become countercultural.
Absolutely.
Because we have seen, I mean, the very fact that Trump is in office, I think, proves that kindness is countercultural. And when we've got Christian communities saying that empathy is sinful, that compassion is sinful,
Yeah.
then the simple notion that we ought to be kind, that we ought to be compassionate, that we ought to, follow the teachings of Jesus seems somehow more radical than it has been in the United States.
Yeah.
And so I think that we need to embrace bold compassion, embrace bold kindness and empathy, and to enact that in our lives. And so I think faith communities definitely need to do this. And they need to be vocal about the ways that they are being kind, the ways that they are being compassionate. And I think one thing that we have often done, especially in like the mainline Protestant circle, is that we have talked a good game about what we ought to do, but we have not done a great job of actually living out those values and talking about them in a way that connects the way that we are living our lives with the reason we are living our lives. And so I think that it is true that Jesus' radical compassion is salvific for us. It saves us from greed and from bitterness and from resentment. But we have been reluctant to talk about those things and why that inspires us to live compassionate lives. So I think faith communities need to embrace that and talk about it more. What do you think?
I completely agree. I think it clearly is countercultural now. When cruelty is kind of the cornerstone of politics, and outrage, which is what drives the internet and clicks and everything, that being kind is countercultural, and it's something we need more of. But it's not the hallmark smile and be nice kind of kindness that we need. It needs to be the costly kindness, the kind of kindness that chooses to bring outsiders inside, that chooses to protect those who are being attacked, that might cost us something in the act of doing so. If that's the kindness, then yes, it is the new punk rock. And we're going to need it for a while, unfortunately. Don't you think?
Absolutely. I mean, it's like you were talking about just a few minutes ago, where you were talking about, just thinking about your neighbor and how, like, that's often taught to us in toxic ways, right? Like, oh, well, what will the neighbors think if we do this, right? And you were saying, no, that's not a helpful way. But the thought of being kind to each other is something that is radical and that we all need to embody, because you can't follow Jesus if you're not kind. I mean, that shouldn't be counterintuitive to say.
Yeah, exactly. I completely agree. A quick reminder, there are more drinks. If you're already out, you're welcome at any point in the show. Go ahead and grab whatever you want. So I'm going to keep following up this kindness thought. If kindness is the stated value sort of the movie, that does loving kindness, what does it look like in policy terms, in terms of our national policy? Is it immigration reform? Is it war power restraint, antitrust for platform? Is it gun control? What are your top three? What would kindness as a political platform, what would be your top three there?
That's really hard to narrow down, but I would say that, yes, the way that we determine policy is that we are always looking to the margins, and that we are looking to the people who are the most vulnerable. And so I think right now we see attacks on marginalized communities across the board. And so we need to be responding to all of those things. I think we need to be responding to immigration. I live in Southern California. We have seen ice flooding the streets. We need to be thinking about immigration and how it is that the Bible over and over again tells us that we are to welcome the stranger. If we're not doing that, we're not following Christ, okay? And so I think that needs to be central to a platform. I think as we're looking at reproductive health, we need to be thinking about reproductive health and how it is that we are legislating protections for folks. And I think also calling out people who are naming things that are clearly not in the Bible and are manipulating people into voting against their own self-interest based on principles that aren't in the Bible. I think we need to be looking at the queer community in ways that protections for queer communities are being ripped away. And so I think there are a number of things: education, healthcare, all of this stuff. It's hard to name three, Mark, but
I've noticed.
But I would say, look, the principle is not to limit ourselves to three. The principle is to look to the margins and to see who is on the margins and recognize that Christ is on the margins. And if we're not there, we're not with Christ.
Yeah, I think that's a great answer.
Yeah.
If I had to do my three, I would have, you know me, I would have fudged on the three as well.
Yeah,
So
we have that in common.
we
Yeah.
do have that in common. And I think you named a lot of great ones. I also think universal health care needs to be thrown in there.
Yeah.
Even from a biblical standpoint, Jesus didn't ask for anybody's card when they showed up asking to be healed.
He didn't. He didn't say, you know, I only take Blue Cross.
Blue Cross Blue Shield?
Yeah.
So I think that is important, and your way of delineating it of who's on the margin and how do we stand with them and what policies will help them no longer have to be out on the margins. That's certainly what the kind of political policy of kindness ends up looking like, and a costly kindness, not a kindness that comes easy. You just smile and try to pretend like all is good. So I call it a Southern kindness. I always grew up around that a lot. And there's parts of it that are just lovely, and the parts of it that I had spent decades unlearning. So, next question. So there's this great thing that happened. Absolutely, I almost fell out of my seat the first time I saw it. So, Superman, we get set up early that there's a few things on the internet that bugs them a little bit.
Right. The bot. Super shit.
Yeah. So, hashtag super shit.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it turns out, though, that is being put out there. Lex has a whole room of bots. They're not bots, though. They're monkeys. They're monkeys on keyboards who are just creating content that is trying to influence. So here's my question for you. If lies spread by internet monkeys, I'm going to call them internet monkeys,
Okay.
can turn whole nations against Superman,
Yeah.
what does the movie suggest about the responsibility that we all share in amplifying or challenging false narratives, possibly particularly on the internet and spaces like that?
Yeah, so this is really hard. I mean, and you and I mean, spend a lot of our lives online, right? That's
A lot is an understatement.
I was trying to be generous to us. Yes.
You're being too kind to us.
Yes. Well, we spend a great amount of our time on the internet. And there is a lot of false information out there. I think we do have a responsibility when we see false information to name it, certainly not to perpetuate it, even if it is false information that like supports a viewpoint that we have.
Mhm.
That if we unknowingly spread something that is false, that we should own that and we should apologize for that. I think one of the big things that we have seen that is just terrible is that social media sites have taken down a lot of fact checking. And that is something that I think is very helpful. I do think that it is realistic to say that elections have been influenced based on social media.
Sure.
And I think we need to use social media in a way that is cognizant of the fact that that kind of thing is happening. And that's hard to say, you know, as someone who spends a lot of time on social media and important to say.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
what do you think?
Well, I think, the internet monkeys may have been a joke on screen, but they're sort of deadly serious as a metaphor. If you repeat a lie enough, frequently enough, loudly enough, people will start believing it. And what Superman learns is that he can't fight it by himself. And I think that's the lesson that Gunn may be trying to teach us here, is that it needs all of us fighting that. So it feels sometimes almost good to say, well, I'm walking away from all of that. I'm not allowing that in my life. But that's just allowing it to live louder.
Yeah.
What we need is more folks who will show up and actively, with costly kindness, combat this kind of information that's being put out there and not let it stand. I mean, it's what a lot of us try to do. We need more folks. We need to recruit more folks. And we need to recognize we're not going to do it with just the folks who are already the loudest voices. It's going to take all of our voices out there, actively resisting these. Now I'm going to want to call all of them internet monkeys. Resisting these internet monkeys and saying that's not who we are. It's not who we're going to be. And we're not okay.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. I mean, that's a large part of what we try to do at the Center for Progressive Christianity and at the Christian Left, right? Is try to put out information that is good, that is accurate, and that is uplifting, to be like a different voice online for folks. And I think that has been a refuge for a lot of people. It certainly has been for me.
For me as well.
Yeah.
So I think this is an important issue that pops up in the movie. Matter of fact, it's one of the main ones that maybe could have used even a little more attention. Clark's Kryptonian parents gave him power.
Yeah.
But his Kansas parents gave him values.
Yeah.
Is the movie saying nurture matters more than nature. And what does that mean for how we think about identity, think about community?
Yes, the movie is saying that. And this is one of the controversial things that happened in the movie, if you haven't seen it, is that James Gunn put Superman's Kryptonian parents saying that he should come and rule over the Earth. And he had only heard a portion of that message for most of his life, that he was there to serve the people of humanity. But then Lex Luthor goes through and decodes it and says, no, actually, you should conquer humanity. Yeah. And his dad, who, like I said earlier, his pa, Jonathan Kent,
he's the weight of the movie.
He's the emotional weight of the movie, who said, son, parents aren't for telling their kids what to do. Okay, and so it's about teaching your values. And so, yes, I think that that the argument is that nurture is more than nature. And I think that one of the lessons that teaches us is that everybody has the opportunity to be a good and decent person. That God has claimed us all as good with inherent worth and dignity. And I think especially when we're talking about faith communities, Mark, that like faith communities ought to name that. And one of the things I deeply believe is that people believe what you tell them about themselves. And so if you tell people that they're fundamentally bad, that they need to repent and that they're evil, people believe that. Yes, people believe that. But if you tell people that they're fundamentally good, that yeah, we all make mistakes, we can all do better, but you're fundamentally good, that you can make a difference in the world, people believe that. People believe you. And so I think that faith communities ought to be nurturing people, ought to be helping them to grow into the kind, generous followers of Jesus they can be. And I genuinely believe that most everybody has the potential to do that, to be that. Yeah, what do you think?
I agree, and I think faith communities are a key place, and I think communities in general, and it is that nurture matters more. And that message in a contemporary product right now, I think is so important because we've entered an age where, particularly in politics, they're not selling the nurture, they're selling heritage. We're making heritage the most important thing. And if you're talking nature and nurture, heritage is the wrong thing for us to be focusing on. And it doesn't move us forward. It divides us more. And so I think we definitely need to be learning how do we do exactly what you said within communities, that we have to resist this movement towards heritage mattering so much because it's dividing our society. It is minimizing the importance of a lot of folks. And we need to figure out how to get back to emphasizing nurture and what that means and how it can change us. And like you said, within that, nurturing in a positive way, in a way that tells us that we're good and that there's enough space for everyone and that we are better when we include all the people that we can include. Let me squeeze one more question. Before I ask the question, though, I'm going to let you know, we usually do something different for our final segment. But this final segment, we're going to ask you if you have questions that you would like to ask. So there's a mic here. We're going to ask you to come forward and ask into the mic any questions you might have, even if it's just sort of related to Superman, but we will give you bonus points if it's directly related to Superman.
You get an extra koozie or something.
Let's see. What question do I want to ask you? Oh, here's one that I really am curious about. So Lex Luthor, that character, he reads sort of like a composite tech baron and defense contractor.
Yeah.
Don't you think?
Yeah.
What critique of billionaire public good rhetoric is the film making, if any?
Oh, I think we're all supposed to embrace billionaires. They have our best interests at heart, right?
But I didn't realize you're going to have such a perfect, easy answer.
I know. It shows in a very exaggerated way what we already all know, and that's that billionaires do not have our best interest at heart, right? That they only
it's a surprise, right?
It is a surprise. I know.
I mean, they've used our money and our resources to make billions of dollars. Of course, they're looking out for us.
But it's all going to come down to us eventually, right?
A little trickle down.
Oh wait, no, that's not the way it works. Yeah. So I mean, in a very exaggerated way, it shows us that billionaires don't care about any of the rest of us. That all they care about is making money. But there is still this narrative in the United States that ultimately people who have billions of dollars deserve to have billions of dollars, and that is just not true. You and I have talked about this before, but the second someone becomes a billionaire, we can declare that they have won capitalism and then we will tax every red cent that they make after that, and that can support the rest of us. So yeah, what do you think?
I'm gonna stick with your answer because I want to squeeze in one more question.
Of course you do.
Of course I do. So in the movie, Superman intervenes in a live war without state sanctioning of it. From a Christian ethics lens of just peacemaking,
Okay.
is that vigilante humanism, humanitarianism, or is it like sort of a necessary solidarity? Is it okay?
Okay, so this is interesting because you gave me the criteria by which I have to judge this. That I have to use
I'm trying to lead the question.
I know you are.
You're good at that. You're really good at ignoring it too. So I think that much going.
I am right. Like by the just war criteria, that you have to have met everything before you intervene in a war, or before you declare a war. And it seems that in this case, Superman in the movie, there's basically a stand-in for Russia. It's called Bavaria, and then there's a stand-in for Ukraine that is called something else.
I can't remember.
It's even when I was listening to it, I was like, "What was the name of that?" And so Superman basically goes in and takes the Putin character and says, "You can't do this."
Who speaks with a really weird, almost Russian accent?
Yeah, it's
Like I don't think Gunn's trying to hide anything.
he is not. He is not trying to hide anything. And so I think in this case, one of the questions that is at stake is like, can people speak for governments? And I think that the question is, or the answer to that is no, they can't. But I think, should we do everything that we can to intervene to prevent violence from happening?
Yeah.
Yes, and I think that's what he's trying to do, and it's misunderstood.
Yeah, I think we have to intervene and use just war theory to try to push politicians and governments to do the right thing in the right order.
Yeah.
The problem is a lot of that has to be done ahead of time, and governments really don't do that because there's no money in that. It's hard to get elected on that. So it's a difficult thing. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to take a quick break. We've tried to give you as much time to come up with questions. So we'll take about 10 minutes worth of questions if you have them. If not, Caleb, I know it's a surprise to you. I might have a question or two I could ask you and fill in the blanks if we like.
I didn't steal them all? Okay, that's great. Okay, 30 seconds. Come on up. You can go and stand at the
Just a second. We're going to drop the song because you want to hear us sing again. I know that.
Yeah. And you all should know this. You all should know it by now. Let's all sing it together.
That is not the song. Moonshine Jesus, light in the sky. Moonshine Jesus, a bird in a ride. Moonshine Jesus, a surprising delight. Moonshine Jesus, won't you shine? Thank you, Randy.
Yes.
All right.
You, Randy.
Do we have any questions? Someone who would like to ask?
And if you want to come on up
to
to
the mic, please.
so they can hear you online as well.
You girl.
Okay. Hi, friends.
Hey, good to see you again.
Good to
Yes.
see you. So, y'all know the original creators of Superman were Jewish.
Jewish. Yep.
Okay, and so my question is, with the names of Jor-El and Kal-El, meaning something of
Something
like
God.
uplifting God, Son of God,
Right.
and later being interpreted as like Star Giant, right? Do you think that the original creators writing those in, do you think that that should influence the way that we read and watch Superman now, even though it has changed hands over and over and over?
I think it's a fantastic, fantastic question. Well, unfortunately, too frequently what's happened is folks have tried to take the character of Superman and make him a savior figure in terms of more of a Jesus savior figure, which was never ever intended. He was originally supposed to be more like a Moses figure. He's in a raft, he travels, he gets rescued. And that, I think, is a lot more helpful of a way of understanding Superman than the sort of savior Superman. And I even have problems with the savior Superman because most of those savior Superman solve problems with violence, which is one of the things I like about this new one, is that he's trying to not do that. As a matter of fact, there's monsters that he's like, I wish you wouldn't have done that. I was trying to take him to a refuge. What are you doing? And I kind of like that move. But I think I think we should, in the same way that Gunn has, honored the past, but the real past and what they were really intending and what that should mean to us. and not what we've allowed the kind of folks to twist it into in an overly Christian country.
Yeah, you know, I love in that same vein, Mark, as you're talking about like the humanism of Superman, that even in this movie, he saves. I mean, there's this whole. We didn't talk about the real star of the show, Crypto. You know, he's taking care of his cousin.
So much.
He's taking care of his cousin's
Crypto.
dog that he doesn't even like. Right? He says it's not even a very good dog.
But I got bad news. If you haven't read the Supergirl comics
Yeah.
that the next movie's going to be based on,
You gotta read them.
it's
You
going
gotta read them.
it's going to be a heartbreak, man.
Don't well, yeah.
Well, we're spoilers on here.
That's
I'm just
true.
saying.
Okay. Okay.
I'm just saying. Oh my goodness.
So there's
He did steal the show.
And so there, yeah, Crypto steals the show, but there's also he also goes out of his way to like save a squirrel, for instance. And text audiences weren't sure.
So don't
about
put that in there. You need to take it out.
Yeah, but he's like, I like the squirrel. I need the squirrel.
I need the squirrel.
Yeah, so it's all about,
Of course, Superman would try to save the squirrel.
yes, and so that is I think the heart of the movie. But I think the roots of Superman are so important because these sons of Jewish immigrants were writing about the great immigrant who came not just from another country or another religion, but came from another world with another culture and became the symbol of the United States.
Yeah.
And so it is symbolic about how immigrants are the heart and soul of this country and everything that we're supposed to be.
Amen.
And so if we don't understand that, we don't understand Superman. So,
Amen.
yes. Yes, we have to
Love it.
understand that in order to really love
Well
grace.
Yes.
Well said. We have time for one more question. If anyone has a question that they're just burning to ask, anyone.
Yep.
All right, I'm going to
Okay,
ask you
go.
one last question
Okay.
about immigrants. So there was a bit of social media backlash about the immigrant framing,
Yeah.
not just of emphasizing that about.
Wait. Dean Cain really liked it.
Yeah, Dean was like, that's
Hey,
perfect.
Wait. How many someone said Dean Cain was their favorite Superman?
Nope.
I got some words for Dean Cain, but I don't know if I'm supposed to say them here.
Hey, you we're at the Goose. You're allowed to say them. I think.
Fair enough. So, with all that backlash about that,
Yeah.
what pastoral response would you offer to audiences who bristle at that word that has been attached to Superman? And I'm going to give you the last word here.
Oh, I love that. That's my favorite thing. I will say to begin with, people don't often come to me and ask me what the pastoral response is. We've got our associate minister here, Marcella Salgado. She
That's
typically
the person
gives
you
the
expect.
pastoral response.
Absolutely, yes.
But I would say, look, if we are compassionate, kind, and generous people, then we look to the teachings and the life of Jesus. And Jesus constantly told us that we are to stand with those who are poor and oppressed, that we are to be on the side of those who are coming into our country, and we are to love them and care about them, and to ensure, yes, as if they are our neighbor, because they are, right? That's a good Samaritan, right? It is those who you don't think are your neighbor, they are your neighbor. They're
Those
the
who are
one who
most
shows
in
you.
need are the ones that are
Yes.
most your neighbor.
They show you
Yeah.
who God is in your life and in the world. And so the pastoral response, the Christian response is that if we are not fully loving everybody, we're not following Jesus. Love. That's why Jesus told us in the greatest commandments that we are to love God, love our neighbor, and then he told that story about an immigrant going out of their way to help those who they should have hated. That is the Christian response, and that is the way we follow Jesus.
Absolutely. And I have to say, your gift for gab has shine bright here. So I'm going to ask you, sir, will you please just close the show out?
I will. And I won't even talk anymore.
Oh, I was expecting a little. I will then. I just want to say thank you. We at the end of every show, even if we're not here live, we thank our audience. We can't tell you how much we appreciate you being here in person right now. Those who listen online live while we're doing a show, you're the reason we get to do this. You're the what gives us joy. It feels like we're participating with you. This is our favorite part. We are both. It's crazy how much we try to cram into a week.
Yes.
This is our favorite thing. And the fact that you are behind all of it matters so much to us. So thank you for
Yes,
supporting
we
us.
appreciate you.
We really do.
Thank you for being here with us. Thank you for talking about Superman with us. Thank you for drinking with us. Why don't we all cheers to one another. We appreciate you all. And let's sing it one more time.
Shine, Jesus, light in the sky. Moonshine, Jesus, burning arise. Moonshine, Jesus, a surprising delight. Moonshine, Jesus, won't you shine the light? Thank y'all, thank you, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Happy Goose.
Thank you.
Thank you. Hey there, more
Broadcast.